Why is she such a good mommy?
Because she takes care of us a lot, and she fixes our food, and she lets us have a lot of privileges.
Does she charge you for the food?
She does.
He is the deep, resonant echo of America's South, a sound powerful enough to silence an entire hall. But to keep that voice, Turner had to pay with years spent teetering on the edge of losing everything. Born in a small town, with no money and no connections, Turner walked into Nashville as an outsider. He chose the hardest path, preserving the pure, traditional country sound, even when the market demanded it be refreshed with pop and commercial formulas. No drinking, no scandals. He became a rare figure in an industry that thrives on them. But clean does not mean peaceful. Behind the curtain, Turner endured shocks the public rarely heard about, from a vocal cord surgery that nearly buried his career, to a bus accident that claimed the life of a crew member. Those wounds didn't break him. They turned him into a rare image of resilience, standing firm like an oak in a storm. For more than 2 decades, one question has remained. How can a simple man, living on a Tennessee farm, raising 4 sons while touring across America, managed to keep his identity and faith intact in a world that's always trying to change him? Early life Hannah, South Carolina, a rural town just big enough to have a post office, a church, and a few dirt roads stretching between cotton and cornfields. It was here that Josh Turner was born on November 20th, 1977, into a working-class family that wasn't wealthy in money, but was rich in love and faith. Life here was slow and private, where everyone knew each other, and the church stood at the heart of the entire community. From an early age, Turner was drawn to sound. He didn't learn music in formal classes, but in Sunday services, when the organ swelled and the whole congregation joined together in gospel hymns. Young Josh would often stand beside his mother in the choir, singing with the innocence of someone who had never known stage fright. Music wasn't just a hobby, it was part of his spiritual life, tied closely to the Christian faith his family saw as their foundation. However, growing up in a place like Hannah meant that the dream of becoming a famous singer was a luxury. Here, the usual path was to finish high school and find a stable job in town. But Turner never fully accepted that limit. He was captivated by the recordings of Randy Travis, Johnny Cash, and Hank Williams, voices that told life stories with a raw, deep honesty he felt in his own bones. In 1996, a turning point nearly took everything away. While studying at a community college and performing in a music program, Turner felt that his voice was no longer the same. After seeing an ear, nose, and throat specialist, he was diagnosed with a benign lesion on his right vocal cord. The cold warning came. If he didn't stop singing and seek treatment, he could lose his voice forever. For a 19-year-old, it was a blow so heavy it felt like the world had collapsed. Turner was forced to stop singing entirely for nearly a year. He underwent vocal therapy sessions, learning how to pronounce, breathe, and sing again, using completely new techniques to ease the strain on his vocal cords. It was a time of grueling challenges, both physical and emotional. The fear of losing his voice was constant, mingled with the dread of being left behind. Yet that period of silence forged in Turner a steel-like discipline and a deep understanding of his own voice. When he recovered, he no longer sang purely on instinct. He knew how to control every note, every breath. His bass voice, already rare and deep, became more powerful and enduring than ever. Turner knew that if he wanted to turn music into a career, he had to leave Hannah. That decision took him to Belmont University in Nashville, one of the cradles for training country music artists. It wasn't just a step toward the center of America's music industry. It was a doorway to events that would shape the rest of his life. His first performances in the city, important professional connections, and the fateful meeting with Jennifer Ford, the woman who would later become his wife. And so, from a small-town church boy, Turner now stood on the threshold of a much larger world, a place where opportunities and challenges awaited, and where his voice would have to prove it deserved to stand among the finest in Nashville. Early career. When Josh Turner arrived in Nashville and enrolled at Belmont University, he knew he was stepping into a true arena. This was no longer a church choir or a small-town fair. This was where thousands of talented voices from across America came, all chasing the same dream: to hear their names listed among country music's top stars. In his early days in the city, Turner juggled studying, working part-time, and seizing every small chance to perform. He played in bars, at student events, and even at gatherings of only a few dozen people. But every time he held a microphone, Turner stuck to one principle: sing traditional country music and keep his rare bass voice intact, rather than chasing the booming country pop trend of the time. That unwavering stance led to a turning point in 2001. Turner was given the chance to perform at the Grand Ole Opry, a stage considered the holy temple of country music. It's the kind of place where, if you make an impact, all of Nashville will know your name overnight. That evening, Turner chose to perform Long Black Train, a song he had written himself after a moment of deep reflection on the Bible. The track carried a powerful metaphor about the black train of temptation and sin, delivering a message to hold fast to faith. As the deep, resonant melody and Turner's bass voice filled the room, the audience fell into complete silence, then erupted into prolonged applause. It wasn't just the crowd. Producers, DJs, and fellow musicians immediately took notice of the name Josh Turner. From that night on, Turner was regarded as Nashville's new phenomenon. He quickly signed with MCA Nashville, paving the way for his debut album in 2003. Yet even as the spotlight began to follow him, Turner faced enormous pressure. The market at the time favored young artists blending country with pop or rock, while he remained loyal to the traditional sound. Amid a wave of modernization, Josh Turner chose the hardest path to keep his identity intact. And it was that risky choice that made him one of the most distinctive voices to emerge from Nashville in the early 2000s. Career success. After that fateful night at the Grand Ole Opry in 2001, Josh Turner walked off stage knowing one thing for certain: Nashville now knew his name. But being noticed and staying relevant were two different stories. Turner understood that to last, he needed more than a single impressive performance. He needed a defining body of work. In 2003, that dream took shape with the release of Long Black Train. It wasn't just a collection of songs, it was a musical manifesto, deep, traditional, and grounded in faith. The title track, with its lingering steel guitar and bass voice that seemed to echo from a southern church, took listeners on a journey both dark and redemptive. In a market swept up in glittery country pop, Turner was the man swimming against the current. The album spread quietly but steadily, surpassing 1 million copies sold and building his first base of loyal fans, people who found in him the pure country they thought had disappeared. That success paved the way for a major leap. In early 2006, Turner returned with Your Man, an album that carried the confidence of an artist who had found his place. The title track not only shot straight to #1, won on the country charts, but also cemented the public image of Josh Turner and his wife, Jennifer Ford. The music video told their real-life love story, making it more genuine than any scripted plot. That same year, Would You Go With Me was released and immediately continued the winning streak, crossing into audiences beyond country, landing on the Billboard Hot 100 and earning Turner a Grammy nomination. At this point, he was no longer just the Grand Ole Opry phenomenon. He was one of Nashville's leading voices. A year later, Turner expanded his range with Everything Is Fine. Amid heartfelt ballads, he introduced Firecracker, an upbeat, lively track that broke from his usual calm image. The hit proved he could get audiences on their feet dancing, not just sitting quietly and listening. In 2007, Turner was invited to become an official member of the Grand Ole Opry, an honor that even multi-million-selling artists don't always receive. In 2010, Turner entered the height of his commercial success with Haywire. Why Don't We Just Dance became a radio phenomenon, topping the country charts for 4 consecutive weeks. With its light melody and simple yet vivid lyrics, it became a favorite wedding and party song across America. When All Over Me followed it to #1, Turner achieved, for the first time in his career, 2 chart-topping singles from the same album, a rare feat in Nashville at the time. Even at the peak, Turner didn't just chase hits. Punching Bag in 2012 revealed a deeper side, the perspective of a grown man who understood pressure and the challenge of standing firm through hardship. Time Is Love from that album became the most played country song on U.S. radio that year, thanks to its simple message: love should be the top priority, above work or fame. Then came a rare 5-year silence in the studio. When Deep South arrived in 2017, listeners found a Turner who was both old and new. Old in that he still carried the warm bass voice and love for traditional country. New in that his music carried a touch of road dust and life experience, as in Hometown Girl, a love song steeped in everyday storytelling, familiar and distinctly American. The album debuted at #1, won on the top country albums chart, proving that the audience had been waiting. If Deep South was the return of a keeper of the flame, then I Serve a Savior in 2018 was a reminder of his roots. This was not a trend-chasing project, but a pure gospel album that reflected the faith that had nurtured Turner since childhood. He filled it with both new compositions and beloved hymns, singing as if he were standing in his childhood church once again. In 2020, Turner released Country State of Mind, a love letter to country music history. The album featured legends like Randy Travis, Chris Christopherson, and Chris Jansen, alongside Turner, reimagining classic songs. It wasn't just a music release, it was an archive of memories, reaffirming Turner's role as a bridge carrying the traditional country legacy forward to the next generation. Every album, every song, every show, from the bright lights of the Grand Ole Opry to the small-town stages, laid another brick in the foundation of Josh Turner's career. Over more than 2 decades, he not only avoided the trap of fleeting trends, but proved that sometimes steadfastness is the quickest path to lasting success, challenges, and tragedies. Josh Turner is one of the rare country artists who has kept an almost spotless personal record for more than 2 decades. No drugs, no drinking, no messy divorces, no public feuds. But that clean image doesn't mean he's walked through his career without facing storms. The turbulence still came, just not loudly in front of the public, and the quiet way he handled it shaped a side of his character that fans rarely see. The biggest tragedy of his career struck in September 2019, when Turner was in California for a leg of a long tour. That night's show ended late. He and his wife traveled in a separate vehicle while the band and crew continued on the tour bus. In the middle of the night, on a deserted stretch of highway, a violent collision caused the bus to swerve, overturn, and sustain severe damage. One crew member died instantly, several others were badly injured, and instruments and equipment were scattered across the road. When Turner received the message, "We've been in an accident. It's really bad," he rushed to the scene. What he saw left him speechless. Flashing police lights, the wail of ambulance sirens, and the familiar faces of colleagues lying on stretchers. Rumors quickly spread online that he had been on the bus and narrowly escaped death. The truth was, he wasn't there, but that did nothing to lessen the pain. Turner immediately canceled all remaining shows, flew home with the victims, attended the funeral, provided financial assistance to the family of the deceased, and stayed by the side of the injured until they recovered. In his statement to the media, he didn't mention himself, simply saying, "We are a family, and today, our family lost one of its own." After that, he disappeared from the spotlight for weeks, staying home with his wife and children, reading the Bible and writing songs as a form of healing. Many of the spiritually tinged tracks that later appeared on I Serve a Savior carry the shadow of this time, when loss became a reminder that time with loved ones is the most precious thing of all. But not all pressure came from sudden tragedy. From the moment Long Black Train was released, Turner lived under a towering shadow. Constant comparisons labeling him the new Johnny Cash. To the public, it was a compliment. To him, it was both a point of pride and a burden. Every album afterward was measured against the standard of a legend, and if a project fell short, he risked being dismissed as an incomplete copy. Turner never lashed out, but he addressed it directly in a radio interview. "I'm proud to be compared, but I'm not Johnny Cash. I want people to know me as Josh Turner, with my own story and my own music." To prove it, he deliberately broadened his musical palette. From heartfelt love ballads, Would You Go With Me, to playful up-tempo tracks, Firecracker, and deeply personal gospel projects, I Serve a Savior. Each album was a step away from being someone's new version and a move toward asserting his own identity. Another major challenge came from his artistic choices. As Nashville exploded with country pop, record labels and producers repeatedly suggested he modernize, add some pop, a little rock, to reach younger audiences and boost sales. Turner knew it might get him onto the charts faster, but it would also erode the music he valued. He refused, accepting the loss of certain commercial opportunities and even periods of declining sales. In return, he kept the steel guitar, fiddle, and the down-to-earth storytelling that defined traditional country. When he couldn't rely on the big mainstream market, he turned to mid-sized and small-town venues, meeting fans face-to-face, chatting after shows, and building connections in ways large-scale promotional campaigns could never replace. Turner's way of facing challenges has always been the same: patience, silence, and action. After the 2019 accident, he turned to family and faith. When confronted with rumors or comparisons, he let the music answer instead of defending himself. When pressured to change, he chose to slow down rather than compromise his identity. There were nights on long tours when he questioned whether he was limiting his own career path. But every time he stood on stage and heard thousands sing "Long Black Train" or "Your Man" with him, he knew his choice was right. Because lasting value doesn't come from chasing trends. It comes from standing firm in your own story and your own heart. Personal life. For Josh Turner, every stage light, every award, and every round of applause comes second to one thing: family. His private life, when viewed through the Nashville lens, might be considered unusual, not because it's loud, but because it's unusually peaceful. But that peace wasn't a ready-made gift. It was built through risky choices, long-term commitments, and more than a few trials. He met Jennifer Ford while they were both studying at Belmont University in Nashville. At first, they were simply fellow performers in the school's choir, standing on the same stage, blending their voices in gospel hymns. That friendship quietly grew into a steady romance. In 2003, when his career had barely begun, Turner made what many considered a bold move. He married Jennifer. He wasn't yet a star, didn't have a fortune or million-dollar contracts, but he believed that if he was going to face the grueling road of music, he needed a safe harbor. Jennifer was that harbor. From that day on, she has been more than a wife. She's also a collaborator and artistic partner. Jennifer appeared with him in the Your Man music video. Their affectionate scenes in a hotel room became a symbol of real-life love in an industry often clouded by pretense. On stage, she occasionally played keyboard or sang harmony. Off stage, she kept the home running smoothly when Turner was away. They have 4 sons: Hampton, Colby, Marion, and Samuel. Turner often says, "Being a father is the most important role I've ever had." Country touring schedules can stretch on for months, but he has never accepted the idea of letting his career steal his children's childhood. On many tours, his bus became a mobile home, a place where the boys did homework to the hum of the engine, played ball in backstage hallways, and fell asleep while their father was still singing outside on stage. He wants his children to understand that no matter how important work is, it can never replace the presence of a father. The family's Tennessee farm is where every road leads back. Turner spends time doing things that might seem small: fixing fences, feeding the horses, mowing the grass. He loves the feel of his boots on the earth, the smell of hay on his hands, and sees it as a way to scrub off the road dust after hundreds of nights on tour. In their kitchen, Jennifer keeps the family meals going, while Turner often grills outdoors, chatting with the boys about school and telling them stories from his own childhood in South Carolina. Christian faith is the thread that ties the family together. Turner doesn't sing about God in "Long Black Train" or "I Serve a Savior" for artistic effect. It's part of his home life, from evening Bible readings to singing in the local church choir. He teaches his children that faith is not only in words, but in kindness to others and in living truthfully with yourself. But keeping a warm home in the middle of an unforgiving entertainment schedule is not always easy. Turner has admitted there were times when the pressures of work left him exhausted, coming home with his mind still tangled in projects. Jennifer was the one who reminded him to stop, put the phone down, and give his family his full attention. They've also had to push through stretches of constant separation due to touring, learning to rely on complete trust and regular communication to maintain closeness. Unlike many of their peers, Turner and Jennifer steer clear of scandal. They don't seek the spotlight outside of music, rarely share personal matters on social media, and when they appear together, their image is always simple but close-knit. People who have worked with Turner say he's one of the few artists whose off-stage character matches exactly what audiences see: calm, respectful to everyone, and never letting ego outweigh shared values. Perhaps it is this foundation, steadfast love, 4 sons growing up in a home filled with faith and simplicity, that has allowed Turner to keep his footing on his traditional musical path. In an industry that's always changing, he still stands firm like an oak in the wind, knowing that no matter what happens out there, when he comes home, he has a place of peace, where his wife's and children's laughter drowns out all the noise of the world. Legacy and influence. Josh Turner has left his mark not only with his rare, warm bass voice in modern country music, but also through his steadfast commitment to preserving traditional values in a market constantly chasing trends. At a time when Nashville saw a powerful wave of popification, Turner remained devoted to the rustic spirit, gospel roots, and Southern soul, making him one of the few voices that gave audiences a genuine sense of authentic country. With a string of hits such as Long Black Train, Your Man, Would You Go With Me, Why Don't We Just Dance, and Hometown Girl, Turner not only conquered the Billboard charts, but also became part of the collective memory of country music fans. These songs have been played at weddings, graduations, and on long road trips, woven into the personal moments of millions. In particular, Long Black Train has transcended music, becoming a message of faith and making the right choices in life, used by many churches and Christian communities as an inspirational hymn. Turner has also had a strong influence on the younger generation of artists. Many up-and-coming singers have admitted they learned from him how to sing naturally without forcing themselves to follow fashionable techniques at the expense of emotional depth. He has proven that persistence and loyalty to one's identity can build a long-lasting career, without scandal and without compromise. His impact extends beyond the stage. Turner is actively involved in charitable work, especially projects supporting children and military families. At his shows, he often takes the time to talk with fans, sign autographs, and pose for photos without rushing, creating a rare personal connection between artist and audience. For him, music is not a barrier, but a bridge that brings people closer together. Commercially, Turner has sold millions of albums, earned multiple platinum and gold records, and received numerous Grammy, CMA, and ACM nominations. But his true legacy is not in the numbers. It lies in the authenticity listeners find in his music. In an entertainment world where audiences can forget an artist after just a few hit seasons, Turner has held on to his own space, a symbol of loyalty to one's roots and integrity in the craft. Looking back, Josh Turner has carved his name into the current of country music, not with noise, but with endurance. He leaves the next generation proof that in Nashville, there is still room for voices untouched by time, as long as they dare to sing from the heart and live true to what they believe: current life. At over 45, Josh Turner has managed to hold on to what many country artists struggle to maintain: a voice unlike any other, a clearly defined musical path, and a loyal fan base spread across America. In 2024, after more than 2 decades with MCA Nashville, Turner renewed his contract, sending a clear message that he has no intention of slowing down. Soon after, he released the single "Heatin' Things Up," signaling an energetic new chapter. That summer, on August 16th, he unveiled his 10th studio album, This Country Music Thing. It was more than just a new collection of songs. It was a statement of identity, a fusion of traditional country, raw honky-tonk grit, southern gospel undertones, and a touch of outlaw spirit. At a time when the country market was being heavily shaped by pop or hip-hop influences, Turner stood firmly by his roots, and that very choice made him stand out. Entering 2025, Turner chose not to rest after the album's release, but instead took This Country Music Thing on the road, launching a North American tour. In March, he kicked off the run at historic venues such as the historic Academy Theater, bringing not only beloved hits like Your Man, Why Don't We Just Dance, and Long Black Train, but also fresh tracks from the new record. In July, he appeared at the Woodstock Summer Concert Series in Georgia, July 12th, where his rich bass voice hushed the crowd with soulful ballads before sparking energy with upbeat honky-tonk numbers. By late August, Turner was on stage at the Mount Baker Theater and continued across a string of dates from Arizona and Nevada to the Midwest. His schedule stayed packed, more than 30 shows running into January 2026, a pace no less demanding than his peak nearly 2 decades earlier. On stage, Turner remains the image of a Southern gentleman with his acoustic guitar, warm bass voice, and a performance style that is humble yet magnetic. Off stage, he lives quietly with his wife Jennifer and their 4 sons, keeping a family-centered life in Nashville. He shares little of his private life on social media, though fans occasionally see glimpses, a fishing trip, a long drive, or an afternoon rehearsal with the band. In a music industry that constantly shifts, Turner doesn't chase fleeting trends. He chooses to stay true to the sound that made his name, a sound traditional enough to hold the hearts of longtime fans, yet fresh enough to intrigue younger listeners. In 2024 to 2025, Josh Turner's journey is more than continuing to perform and release music. It's a declaration that, more than 20 years after Long Black Train, he is still on the road he was born to walk, and he hasn't eased his stride. Josh Turner is living proof that in the unpredictable world of entertainment, there are still artists who choose to stand firm with both talent and character. He has weathered humble beginnings, personal trials, and the pressure of maintaining an impeccable image. Yet he has never lost his faith in music or in the traditional values he upholds. From small hometown stages to prestigious award shows, from songs echoing through every corner of America to the enduring love of his family, Turner has always found a way to turn challenges into motivation and to make music a place where listeners can find comfort, hope, and connection. His story is not only the journey of a country music star, but also a reminder that when you remain faithful to the path you've chosen and keep building it with sincerity, the light will always find you, no matter how the times change. And if one day you're faced with a difficult choice between holding on to your values or chasing the trend, will you change or will you stand firm like Josh Turner? If his story has touched you, share your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to the channel to explore more inspiring journeys from artists who have turned determination and passion into a living legacy.